Bow chicka, what's up my players? Welcome to the second part of this Android remote database server mini-series. What we're going to be doing is setting up our Apache server with Xampp, setting up our MySQL database, and also creating kind of a configuration PHP file. Let's do it, players! Let's jump into it. What we need is a server. Basically what a server is, it's like a big filing cabinet where you keep all of your files and you can relate to them whenever you want. Now the internet's pretty much just like a huge group of servers. All of the content that you see here on my bringback is hosted with HostGator, and then anyone in the world can type in that location to our specific server and our specific file within that server. And they can see it on the internet. That's how it works. As simple as that. The problem is using someone's server to save all of your information or put your files there generally costs you money. So like HostGator will charge us money to do that. So if you don't really have a website yet, what you actually want to do is develop it out on your own computer and test it out locally, saving your files within your computer somewhere. Pretend like that set of files is a server and pretend like you're creating your own website. Makes sense? That way you don't have to pay for hosting as you're developing your website out. Hopefully that makes sense. Pretty easy concept. Sorry if I went too far in depth with that, but that's the first step of this whole series, is getting that fake server with Xampp. So if you guys just jump over to my bringback second post in this series, or I think it's the 18th post in the intermediate series, you will see within this first paragraph there probably will be a video here, something else, I don't know, might be a little bit different than what you see here. Step 1, download and install Xampp. Pretty easy, guys. It's kind of like all my other series. You just have to download something at the beginning and then don't worry about it. I like to use Xampp. You can use Xampp or a bunch of other ones out there. We're just going to use Xampp. I have a download link here. Open it up, or just go to apachefriends.org and install Xampp. You want to make sure that you get MySQL and PHP admin when you download your pretend server. And right here, your download links. Mac, again, has Apache, that's your server, MySQL, PHP, MySQLite, all the good stuff that you're going to need. Go ahead and download that. And PHP admin is kind of a friendly way for us to view our database, make adjustments. So you probably want to have PHP admin as well. Again, with Xampp and Apache Friends, they'll bundle all this stuff into one huge present for you. It's just like Christmas. You download it, you extract it, you play with it for a day, and then you're like, alright, I don't want this anymore. But Xampp's free, so it's pretty cool, and you probably will want to use it again at some point. So go ahead and download it, extract it, install it. Make sure you remember where you install it at, and I did it within my application folder. Alright, and as you see, Xampp has been installed in my system. The first thing that you guys want to open up is your Xampp control panel. This is going to be looking something like this, at least if you're on Mac, or if you have the same version as me. It might look a little bit different now. I think they've updated some things, but it's pretty much the same concept. Looks simple like this, pretty easy, and there we go. And these are just like girls in a bar. When you walk in, they get turned on. Okay, we get both of those going because we're going to relate with both our pretend server and our MySQL database. We're just going to type in our password if you're on Mac, because it's stupid like that, makes you validate things. Alright, so now our Apache server is running. We're just going to leave that going there for a while for the remainder of this tutorial series. So now that we have activated our Apache server, what's going to happen is we can relate through our browser into this htdocs folder. So let's open our htdocs folder, and we're going to create a new folder called web service, and this is where we're going to hold all of our PHP scripts for our application. So the first thing that we're going to do is create 2 new PHP files within this web service folder, so we can test it out within our browser, whether you're using Chrome or whatever. We'll be able to test out this location and the PHP files that we're holding within our web service folder. So to do PHP, pretty simple. We need to have opening and closing brackets. Hopefully you guys are somewhat familiar with PHP. It's not too difficult, but within here we write our PHP code. And just a simple print statement or echo statement in PHP, we're just going to type out, which will be test, and save this in our htdoc folder. It might not be accessible right here, but it should be within Xampp files and then htdocs and then our web service. So go ahead and create this file, and we're going to call this index.php just to test it out, make sure it works. So we save that, and then I'm just going to go ahead and create a new blank file and save this as config.include.php. Include means this is just going to be an include file that we're going to use with other PHP scripts. So basically this include file will connect to our database. Again, it might be a little bit confusing as for now. Don't worry about that. We'll get into that in the next couple tutorials. But we have created an index.php file that should be accessible through our browser now. Again, to make this work, we need Apache running and MySQL to be, well, actually we don't need MySQL as of right now because we aren't working with our database, whatever. But it should be working. Let's go into our browser, and how we're going to access this is something called localhost. So Apache knows that localhost is our htdocs folder, and it will redirect to that folder. As you can see, I have port 123. By default, it should be port 80, or I believe you don't even need to put a port there as of right now. Just put localhost and then our folder, which was web service, and then index.php. You might not even. So that should work for you guys. Again, I changed my port because I think another application was using the 80 port, which was the default port. So for me, I have to put a :1234, and that's my port number, and there is our script. Now, if you guys are having problems as well, again, you could put :80, which is your default. But for the remainder of this tutorial series, I'm going to use port 1234. So I just want to show you guys how I did that, how I changed my Xampp Apache port. So again, within our Xampp folder here, we have Xampp files, and then we want to go to etc. httpd.config. Just go ahead and open that up. Oops. I'm going to open it with TextMate. Oh, I'm sorry. And again, you guys can, when you save those PHP files, I'm sorry, I didn't mention that, you can use anything as long as the extension ends with PHP. When you save it, it should run through your browser. You can use Notepad, you can use, like Text Wrangler on Mac, or what is it, Notepad++ or something. There's a bunch of editors, text editors out there that you can use to save PHP files. Whatever you want to choose is fine. But as you can see, once I open this httpd config file, down, if we scroll down a bit, this listen is our port. So as you can see, here's an example of our local host and our port number right here, which was 80. This should be 80 by default. Like I said, I'm going to change mine to 1234 again. Save this file, and then you will be just like me. Cool, attractive, funny, and sitting in your room all by yourself all the time because you have no friends. Alright, so now that we have our local host working with a specific port that we want to choose from, we can actually start developing our PHP scripts here soon. Probably won't jump into that quite yet. We just wanted to make sure our Apache server was working properly, and it looks like it is.